Is it the shoes? I've got 11 questions for you on footwear. This is Trivia with Buds. Welcome to another episode of the Trivia with Buds podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Buds, and today's episode is all about shoes and footwear. I'm not a big shoes guy myself. I wore Airwalks as a kid growing up, a few pairs of Chucks here and there, and now I have, I think, 4 pairs total, including dress shoes. So it hasn't gotten much better for me as an adult. Shout out to my friend Francisco Uranga, who I worked with at Super Jacket on Ridiculousness on MTV and a bunch of other shows, who has, I think, 500 pairs of shoes. He's a big shoe guy. He loves shoes. So some people dig it. And I do like shoes. I just never buy many pairs. You know what I like as a modern shoe? I like these Sanuks living in California. Sanuk, S-A-N-U-K, I think that's how you say it. You don't have to wear socks with them, but they don't get like real stinky. And they're great for the beach or just all weather in general. And you can wear socks with them too, and they still work. So, you know, that's about as far as I get with shoes. But let's see how far you can get with these 11 random questions from one of my live trivia nights in Southern California. If you want to play trivia with me, go to triviawithbuds.com, click on locations, and RSVP for a bonus point to any event coming up in the next week to 10 days. That's how far in advance you can check out events on the website, unless it's a special event. If it's something in a different city like Chattanooga or Chicago or Orlando, those are up as soon as I hear about them. So let's jump into these questions about shoes right now. All right, here we go. 11 questions on shoes and footwear. Let's see how many of these you know. Question number 1, in what film does a character wear PF flyers to hop over a large fence? Question number 1, in what film does a character wear PF flyers to hop over a large fence? Question number 2, Judy Garland's famous ruby slippers were recently removed from what institute for extensive restoration? Question 2, Judy Garland's famous ruby slippers were recently removed from what institute for extensive restoration? Question number 3, what Fox sitcom featured a dad who was a shoe salesman? Question 3, what Fox sitcom featured a dad who was a shoe salesman? Question number 4, according to the Guinness Book, what is the most amount of pairs of shoes owned by an individual? Is it A, 2,388, B, 7,561, or C, 10,086? That question again, number 4, according to the Guinness Book, what is the most amount of pairs of shoes owned by an individual? Is it 2,300, 7,500, or 10,000? Question number 5, the comic strip Shoe ran from 1977 to 2000 and featured a group of newspapermen who were all what type of animal? Number 5, the comic strip Shoe ran from 77 to 2000 and featured a group of newspapermen who were all what type of animal? Question 6, on a certain episode of The Simpsons, what was dead inside Disco Stew's shoes? Question 6, on a certain episode of The Simpsons, what was dead inside Disco Stew's shoes? Question number 7, what year were the first Air Jordans released to the public? Question 7, what year were the first Air Jordans released to the public? Question number 8, what sport did Shoeless Joe Jackson play? What sport did Shoeless Joe Jackson play? Question number 9, what company made the 1989 fad shoe called The Pump? Question 9, what company made the 1989 fad shoe called The Pump? Question 10, who does the voice of the title character in Puss in Boots? Number 10, who does the voice of the title character in Puss in Boots? And the bonus question for 2 points, in what movie does the main character excel in running from wearing Nike Cortez shoes? Question 11 for 2 points, in what movie does the main character excel in running from wearing Nike Cortez shoes? Those are your 11 questions about shoes and footwear. Let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the answers to those questions in a minute.
Who's got the juice? Got it. Got it. Don't got it. Got it. Got it. Don't got it. Yeah. Got it. Ain't got it. Who's got the juice? That's right. You got the juice.
All right, here are the answers to the shoe questions for today's daily edition of Trivia with Buds. Number 1, in what film does a character wear Piaf flyers to hop over a large fence? The answer was The Sandlot. Benny the Jet Rodriguez, who we mentioned just a few episodes back, if you've been listening lately, was the guy who jumped over the fence. He gets those shoes. They're all fresh, and then the dog, the beast, chases him through town. Dives through that movie screen. What a great movie. Number 2, Judy Garland's famous ruby slippers were recently removed from what institute for extensive restoration? The Smithsonian. The Smithsonian. Number 2, I was there in 8th grade for a field trip, or like a week-long trip. Number 3, what Fox sitcom featured a dad who was a shoe salesman, married with children? Al Bundy. One of my favorites. That was Time for Me to Go to Bed when that show came on Sunday nights. Number 4, according to the Guinness Book, what is the most amount of pairs of shoes owned by an individual? It was A, 2,388. So I went with the low one. If you went with the low one, you got it right. I gave you some higher options there, 7,000, 10,000. It's actually like 2,388 pairs. Number 5, the comic strip Shoe ran from 1977 to 2000 and featured a group of newspapermen who were all what type of animal? They were all different species of birds. Number 6, on a certain episode of The Simpsons, what was dead inside a Disco Stew's shoes? A goldfish. A goldfish is dead in his shoes. Number 7, what year were the first Air Jordans released to the public? 1985, year of my birth, year of Back to the Future, 1985. Number 8, what sport did shoeless Joe Jackson play? He played baseball, but I think he wore shoes. Number 9, what company made the 1989 fad shoe called the Pump? Those were Reeboks. You pumped them up, get them a little tighter on your foot. The Pump. Reeboks. My brother had a pair. Number 10, who does the voice of the title character in Puss in Boots? Antonio Banderas. Originally from Shrek, I think, and then jumped over to his own title feature. Never saw it. And the bonus question for 2 points, in what movie does the main character excel in running from wearing Nike Cortez shoes? That would, of course, be Tom Hanks' Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump was the answer to the bonus question, and one of my favorite movies of all time. I know people like my sister does not like that movie. I think there's people out there that for some reason don't like Forrest Gump, but I think the majority of us do enjoy it. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the show. If you like the show, please tell a friend about it. Maybe think about throwing a few bucks over on Patreon to help the show keep getting bigger and better and daily. Keep us going daily, man. That'd be great. Patreon.com/triviawithbuds if you want to donate some bucks for some cool rewards like vintage candy or vintage wax pack trading cards from the 80s and 90s, which I have stocked up on and I'm ready to mail out to your home address. That's it for today's episode. If you want to leave a review, that would be amazing of you. Go on iTunes and get us up to 100. We're at 94 right now. I'd love 6 more. And if you leave a review, just send me an email, ryanbuds@gmail.com, and say, hey, I was the display name, Fartman25, and I'll make sure to send you some cool swag as well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for telling a friend, and we'll see you tomorrow for more Trivia with Buds. Cheers.